Oh, my hair's crazy. I don't know what to do about that. Hey, world. Just kidding. It's not the whole world. It's just all the cool people, right? Right? Right. Welcome to Get Right, our Sunday creative writing activity. I hesitate to call it a class because then that puts me in a position of authority, and I'm really only in a position of practice. So yeah, I don't like to call it a creative writing class. I guess I'd call it a creative writing exercise. Actually, now that I say that out loud, I like that because that's what Rock Recovery does. We coach you through exercise, and this is just a brain exercise. I was hoping that I would have friends here because it's such a beautiful day. Sitting down at 2 p.m. to write may not be the top of your priority list, but you could be writing outside for all I know. We could have been outside since 6 a.m. and need a break from the beautiful sunshine. Whatever reason you're here, I appreciate you. So, one of my most favorite things in life is whimsy, like just fun, goofiness, unbridled enthusiasm, weirdness, that those little things that make people unique, or when someone does something and their eyes shine, or the reason toddlers are adorable when you're not the one raising them, whimsy. So today's creative writing, I wanted to kind of teach how to bring that in. Whether you're working with nonfiction or fiction, being able to kind of push the edges of your imagination is really important. So in fiction, obviously, that's where stories that doesn't already exist comes from. But even nonfiction, if I'm telling you the truth, I want to tell it in a way that's new and fresh, that allows you to see the truth from a different angle or perspective. And that comes from creativity. So any practice that can get you to really push your brain out and like explore new and interesting ways to talk about stuff, it's going to make you a better writer regardless of the genre. Or the purpose. P.S. Writing just to write because it makes you feel good is totally fun and great. I could go on probably for 45 minutes about all the reasons writing is good for you, but that's not what you're here for. You are here to write. So let's start. Today's prompt we're going to start with. I want you to think of situations that you did or that happened to you that are unusual, startling, or amusing. Let's just sit with that for a moment. Unusual, startling, or amusing. If you're feeling stuck, remember, amusing could be an embarrassing moment. Startling could be a time that you were scared or surprised. I like surprise better than fear, but that's just where I'm at today. And unusual is like weird, odd, unique. So here's one of our multifaceted activity. I want you to write 3 sentences. I'm going to type this up, but 3 sentences. Each one describes something unusual, startling, or amusing. Like, for example, all 3 of them could be unusual things. Or you could do 1 unusual, 1 startling, 1 amusing. It doesn't really matter. That's just kind of the thing. But here's the kicker. 2 of those sentences are true. The things you actually saw, witnessed, experienced, heard about. 1 of them is completely made up. So that's your challenge. I'm going to say, let's put 3 minutes on this one because they're just sentences. So go ahead and start writing. I'm going to type those directions. 3 minutes where you're going to write 3 sentences. Each one of them will describe something startling, amusing, or unusual. And 2 of them are actual things that happened to you or you witnessed. 1 is a complete lie, a fabrication. halfway done. All right. One more minute. "30 seconds. Remember, this isn't about quality, it's about getting the job done. So I put this timer there to pressure you, just to put down whatever. Sometimes creativity needs that little nudge. And finish. All right, so like I say, if you've been here before, put your pen down or pencil or whatever it is you're using to write, because taking a step away allows our brains to do better the next time we approach it. Hey Jake, hey Nellie, thanks for shouting out. I can't always see who's here, so it's always nice for me to see those familiar names and the hellos. But your job, hopefully if you played along, was to write 3 sentences, so I'm going to share mine. You get to decide which one's a lie. Overheard someone talking about cutting a Thanksgiving turkey with a chisel. Had a dance party with my mom in a narwhal. Ran over a full carton of eggs. Believe it or not, the eggs was the lie. And I like that because I did it in the last minute, so I could play along with all of you. And I was like, I have no idea what to write for a lie, but that pressure of the timer made me put something. So now we're going to move on to part 2. Actually, wait, no, I should probably stop. You're probably wondering how I had a dance party with a narwhal. It was actually a friend of mine wearing a narwhal onesie. She showed up with that unannounced. So I know it sounds pretty fantastical, but it's actually the legitimate truth. Also, pausing and going back, I did say lie, and then in the comments, when I typed the directions, I put fabrication. I'm just going to go back to why I'm here. I work for recovery because I am a person in long-term recovery, and I know that lying was part of active use, and I go out of my way to speak with integrity and act with integrity in my own personal recovery. So yeah, not a lie, a fabrication, an intentional exaggeration using the imagination. So although it sounds like a lie, I did have a dance party with my mom in a narwhal, but I left out, I omitted the fact that it was a human dressed as a narwhal. Anyways, that doesn't matter. What does matter is another big problem with writing. So maybe I shouldn't say problem. One of the things I want to work on was, one, not gluing ourselves to the truth, right? So that's why I had you come up with a fabrication. The second thing that I will never stop harping about is giving yourself permission to just suck. Even if you were world class, pick your favorite writer. That writer's first draft is always worse than the later draft, no matter how good it is the first time, right? So whatever you're writing next has to suck, because that's just the nature of improvement, right? It just sucks compared to your later versions, maybe not in general. I don't mean to offend anybody or my own self. So to practice getting through that barrier, we're just going to embrace it. Part 2, we have 3 parts today, is you're going to take all 3 of your sentences and you're going to write about them horribly. Like, force yourself to use incomplete sentences, cliches, over describe, like anything that makes you cringe, do it on purpose. I promise we're gonna have time to fix this, but I need you to just get out of your safe zone and go into that. So for example, I have to write about cutting a Thanksgiving turkey with a chisel, having a dance party with my mom and a narwhal, and running over a carton of eggs. All three of them. I have to put them into one writing piece that sucks really bad. Like, make it as horrible as possible. That's the challenge. So this one we're going to put, let's see, it's 212, 7. This is me doing math, by the way. It takes a lot of energy. Well, let's put 8 minutes on it because you're going to need a lot of creativity to mesh those things together. But no pressure because it has to be horrible on purpose. If you have questions, go ahead and type them in the comments, and I will try to get to them. But yes, I would like you to start writing now. 8 minutes, all three of your sentences in one piece that is written the worst possible way you could. Jake says this is challenging. No joke. If you're stuck, I just went with the most cliche thing that I could think of. That line, it was a dark and stormy night. So I'm going to start there. However you handle this challenge, I can't wait to hear about it. If you find yourself making these faces, you're doing the challenge well. Oh. All right, we're halfway done. just a pro tip. Sorry, I'm laughing. I wrote that poorly on purpose. Same, Jake, same. If you're stuck, remember this is a rough draft and you're writing poorly on purpose. Just write, I don't know what comes next, or the old tried and true favorite, an ellipsis, ... It means, hey, something happened in here. We don't need to talk about it or know what it is. Just keep going. Force yourself into the yuck. All right, 3 more minutes of writing poorly about unusual, startling, or amusing things that you've done or thought about or witnessed. If you're running out of ways to suck, well, okay, I feel really bad using that word. If you're running out of ways to write poorly on purpose, try really short sentences that have no clear purpose or subject. The boy, period. Oh yeah, don't give anyone names. Call them random pronouns so that we get really confused about who you're talking about. Almost done with this torture. Hang in there. Make sure you got all 3. All right, go ahead and finish the sentence you're writing. That means me too. All right. I know you all want to hear about my terrible, awful writing and how I could include a dance party and a narwhal and my mother, and Thanksgiving turkey and a chisel and a carton of eggs getting ran over by a car, but I'm sorry, we just don't have time to talk about that, so we'll ignore it. Move on. I continually say to put your pen down. Here's the science behind it. Our brains can think much more quickly than they can read. For example, those challenges where they give you the first letter and the end letter, and then there's random numbers in between, but you can still read the sentences once you get acclimated. That's how reading works, and it's how writing works too. So if you know what you want to say, your brain's going to fill in those blanks for you, whether they're on the page or not. So when you take that break and set the page aside, it allows you to take space from that. So when you look at it, you're not going to be seeing what you meant to put down or thought you put down. You'll see what you really put down. Ideally, it's set aside for a week if you're doing a full writing piece. But for the sake of time, we just do little breaks. And during this break, I want to share with you the encouragement for the next piece. Because even though you wrote horribly on purpose, chances are there's something in there that's really great. So I'm going to have you go through and pick. But for me, I just like this one sentence. And I would have to fix it to make it better, but I like the idea. It says, while lost in thought, the car seemed to drive itself, like her thoughts. I kind of like that metaphor, like your brain, when you're on autopilot when you're driving. But it's obviously not a story, it's just a sentence. So what I'm going to have you do is, in that mess that you just intentionally created, find one thing that you like, but don't do it yet, because remember, we got to set it aside. And then we're going to do this other activity called What If? And this one actually comes from the book I introduced, last week. But it talks about how writers sometimes have story blocks. They begin a story easily enough, but they run into trouble when they try to finish it. One possible reason is that some stories don't have enough forward motion to become a successful story. And these should be abandoned. P.S. The thing about the narwhals should totally be abandoned. On the other hand, many story beginnings just need to be examined and explored for their inherent possibilities. As Francois Camoin says, a story needs to take a narrative fork. So that's where we are today. We are going to explore the inherent possibilities of the ridiculousness that we began with. So what we're going to do is write the words, what if? Okay, we're going to put them at the top of a new piece of paper. So go ahead and do that. What if? Now you're going to write 5 ways of continuing the story, not ending the story, but continuing to the next event, scene, etc. Let your imagination go wild. Loosen up your thinking about the events in this story. Your what ifs can be as diverse as your imagination can make them. More than likely, and this is proved true through years of teaching and writing, one of the what ifs will feel right, organic to your story, and that is the direction in which you should go. Sometimes you will have to do several groups of what ifs per story, but that's okay, as long as they keep you moving forward. So that's for you in your own personal writing practice. What does it look like today? We are going to do a writing piece where you take one sentence or maybe idea or phrase from the junk you just wrote, and then you're just going to come up with 5 different what ifs. So the example that they used was a writer began a story about a young boy, Paul, who shoplifts with a cousin. And then they have to come up with 5 what ifs. So they don't get to just go on what happens next. They kind of create a fork, right? Well, I don't know what silverware you'd call it if it had 5 prongs, but that's not part of this. But basically, the boy shoplifts. What if this happened? What if this happened? This, and this? And one of those is going to be interesting and fun to go down the rabbit hole with. So take some time while I write up these directions. We're not writing yet, but go back to your junk that I made you write poorly and find one thing that's worth exploring or working on. Don't start writing yet. All right, let's see, 2:26. Let's do 4 minutes. Actually, let's do 5, one for each what if. So I'm gonna set a timer for 5 minutes. And again, I'll type this up in the comments for those of you that do better seeing it. What you're gonna do is come up with 5 possible next scenarios. You know, this happened, what if this, and this. Don't expound too much on them. I would give each one about a minute, but just briefly explore the different options. All right, go ahead. If you're stuck, you could use some of the stuff we played around with last week, like what if it happened in a different time period? What if the character's age switched? What if it was a gender swap? What if a meteorite falls out of the sky? All right, that's 1 minute in. So if you haven't started on your second one, I would recommend that. All right, that's 2 minutes. Go ahead and switch to your third one if you haven't already. All right, 3 minutes in, we got 2 minutes. Make sure you get all 5. One more minute. If you're anything like me, it gets harder as the time goes. Like, ugh, my brain's out of creativity. What do I do? Just know one of the 5 ideas is good, and it's okay for the rest of them to be absolute garbage. All right, go ahead and finish up what you're writing. And let's talk about it. So we started with 2 real things and a why, which for me, gosh, so much transparency. Look what a mess I am. I mean, I'm not a mess, just my handwriting. It looks like this for me. Then from there, I force myself to combine them all in something that makes no sense. It's absolute horrid writing that made me cringe, but was kind of fun to do. Then from that, I have 1 sentence that's giving me 5 possible scenarios. So it's a really cool example of the journey that you can go on to tap into your creativity. And like, although this has Thanksgiving turkeys and a dance party, when I look at my what ifs, none of them follow that same course, which is really cool and something I like about the writing process. But hopefully when you look at your what ifs, without seeing my words, you can notice that the third one has a lot more because the brain likes what it likes. And when I hit on that what if idea, I was like, ooh, that's fun. Let's explore it. I had to move on because I was forcing myself to do this activity. But now I have a seed planted and I can choose to water it or I can do something else. But what started as random truths and a fabrication has now turned into something totally different. Hopefully you have the same experience. And powerfully, I hope this shows you something you can do. When you get stuck writing, it doesn't mean give up. It means you need to open up to your creative imagination. It means usually that you're closed off for a myriad reasons that we don't even need to go into because we'll run out of time. But just knowing that this is a possibility when you do get stuck, which means in a moment when I have you write more, if you're stuck, what can you do? You can what if 5 times and then you'll figure it out. So mine went from the car seemed to drive itself like her thoughts to what if she remembers something from her childhood. A sepia-toned image floats to the surface, appearing like a photograph in an old dark room. I want to write about that. I don't know about dark rooms, so I'm going to go to Google, because the internet knows everything. And I'm going to figure out what the process of developing a photo looks like in a dark room. Use that to get some imagery. But that's where I am today. For you, whether it includes looking on Google, twiddling your thumbs, or just writing furiously, I want you to spend the next, we could do 8 minutes again. That'll bring us right to the end of our time. The next 8 minutes exploring what if that you like best. As always, if you have questions, put them in the comments. Because again, I'm not going to be writing today. I'm going to be researching, but I'm here as a resource. So go ahead and get started. Almost halfway done. If you're stuck, remember, use that what if strategy. All right, you have about 2 minutes. Keep writing. Press pause or mute me if you're not stuck and you're in the zone. But I know sometimes sustained writing can get sticky, or you get lost in the sauce. So one of the things we've been talking about also the past few weeks is sensory images. So if you're feeling really stuck, just ask yourself, where can I embed something with scent? Where can I put a sound? Am I really capturing what it looks like all around, that setting? Is there a taste available? Like maybe you can taste the weather changing, or if there's food or drinks, like coffee is always a really powerful thing to put into a little piece. Texture, what does it feel like? But also that sixth sense, emotions. If you don't have emotions in your writing, where can you put them? So you have about a minute left. Kind of go through that reality check. Do I have all of those sensory images there? For example, I said that I was going to look up photo developing. I was like, oh man, I don't have anything about smell here. And it's weird because there's a car and pictures. So currently researching what chemicals are used in the process so I can figure out what smells would be in the memory of a photo. All right, friends, go ahead and finish up the sentence that you're working on. while I wait, side note, I love Ansel Adams and his work. I'm vaguely familiar with it. Probably about as much as everybody. But while I was looking into developing photos, I realized that he created the contrast in his photography using extensive dodging and burning methods. So this is from one of the articles. They were photoshopped, like in a very natural, acceptable, artistic way, but that like changes my whole perspective of what I've thought about Ansel Adams all this time. Which is why I love writing, because otherwise I never would have known that. It's such a fun little rabbit hole to fall down. Thank you for letting me babble on about this. I hope and at least enjoyed your time. Normally we would have a Zoom like hangout afterwards where we could share, but it is beautiful outside today, and I might take myself hiking, which is where I'll probably find more things to write about. Hopefully you either continue the writing you started or you get outside and enjoy it, the natural world yourself, or you do whatever makes you happy, because today is about you and enjoying yourself, or it should be at least. I will post, like I normally do in the comments, ways that you can reach out. Maybe one of the things you want to do to take care of yourself and be happy today is to work on your recovery. So we have links to all the stuff you might want to use for that, contact information if you want a peer coach to help you with your own personal journey. Yeah, all the things. I appreciate you, and I'll be back here next week, which means next week we can have 2 writing pieces to talk about because we didn't hang out afterwards today. Thanks so much for supporting the program and being here. Vinny, thanks for saying enjoy your hike. It makes me feel good to know that you guys support my decision to eschew the Zoom room to go get outside. And if you're looking for more writing activities, all the old ones are logged on the YouTube with all of our workouts and other cool stuff. So there's that and all the things. See you later. Bye.